Georgia is in the middle of a very tight gubernatorial race against Brian Kemp, who is the Secretary of State, and Stacey Abrams, that is the Democrat who is running against him. Now, there have been a number of controversial stories coming out of the state of Georgia because Brian Kemp, as the Secretary of State, has been purging the polls and disenfranchising voters that would typically vote for the Democratic candidate. Now things have gotten even uglier. Now, Brian Kemp has announced, and he did so yesterday, that he opened an investigation into the state Democratic Party, accusing it without evidence of attempting to hack the state's voter registration system. Now, he has a history of doing this. In fact, he did this back in 2016. That was when he accused the Obama administration's Department of Homeland Security of trying to hack the state's voter registration, charges that DHS Inspector General concluded were untrue. Now, why is he doing this? Well, it turns out that Democrats approached him and realized that there were some vulnerabilities in the way that people vote in the state of Georgia. So let me give you the details on that. Attorneys suing Kemp on behalf of Georgia voters notified his office of a voter registration system vulnerability that they say could render millions unable to vote. Okay, so to give you more information on that, the vulnerability came to light when a Georgia voter noticed the state's My Voter page didn't seek verification of his identity while he was seeking his own voter registration information. That meant that anyone could access voters' personal data through the vulnerability and alter it. So what did Kemp do after he was notified about this vulnerability? He turned around and accused Democrats of trying to hack into the election system.
So they tried to get him in court to make sure that this flaw was fixed earlier because he's the Secretary of State. He fought people in court to make sure that the vote could not be verified. Now he turns around and says, turns out the vote can't be verified and it's the Democrats' fault. I think that they might be doing cyber crimes. Okay, well, my God, you're Secretary of State, this is your job. So, and there's a day before the election, if the Democrats are doing something wrong, give us the evidence right now that people need to know. I mean, your vote, that would get you more voters, wouldn't it? And it would be the right thing to do. You should give people the evidence so they know what the no good Democrats are up to. Because if you don't have evidence, you're lying just like you did 2 years ago. You're a serial liar and you're also a cheat. Why didn't you fix the system? Why didn't you fix it? That was your job. Now you turn around and blame the Democrats because you didn't do your job. Now, it's very likely he didn't do that because he wants to cheat. So, and right now, in a separate report in Politico, people are saying they're going in to vote in Georgia, where there's early voting. They're voting for Stacey Abrams, and their vote is being flipped to Kemp. Now, I'm not a voting expert, so it's hard for me to determine how true that is. But at least they have evidence. Kemp has no evidence. They're saying that some of the voters, and this is also happening apparently in Texas, they're voting a straight line for Democrats, and they see the computers switch it to Republicans and print. Not print, I wish they were printing, I'll get to that in a second, but to send. And they're like, wait, they just switched my vote right in front of my eyes. And the so-called experts are telling Politico, oh, that might be just faulty equipment. Okay, how come it's not switching any votes from Republicans to Democrats? It's not funny that it's just faulty in one direction. How come it's not switching any votes away from Kemp? If one vote had been switched away from Kemp, do you know what he'd be doing? He'd be doing a press conference on top of a press conference, right?
Right, of course. And I mean, they make, like they turn a molehill into a mountain over the issue of so-called voter fraud that doesn't happen, just as a way of passing new regulations that would make it increasingly difficult for people who would typically vote for Democrats, so they don't go to the polls. I mean, this is crazy. This is our democracy in jeopardy right now.
So look, there's a couple of different issues here and a couple of different ways that Kemp is cheating, and he's a terrible guy. He doesn't believe in our democracy. So there is no paper ballots in Georgia. So if they switch the vote, there's nothing you could do about it, and there's no way to verify it. He says, trust me, don't worry. Number two, he's running the election. He's running for governor. He's the Secretary of State. The Secretary of State runs the election. People are like, well, you got to step down. You can't run your own election. He's like, yes, I can. But they're like, there's no way to verify the election. He's like, I know. And now it says it's switching votes on your behalf. I know. And so what's your answer? Blame the Democrats.
Because
I mean, look, it's a third world banana republic. This is how you run third world countries. Who's running the election? I am. Can we verify it? No. You have to trust the dictator, Brian Kemp in Georgia, that he's running the elections right. Any way at all to verify it? No. Sad day for you. I will declare myself the victor, and then there's nothing you could do about it. So I don't know how much he's cheating, because I care about reality. Some people have reported that their vote is switched. They should have inspectors on the ground. They should have reporters all over the place. But most importantly, Brian Kemp should not be running his own election. He can't be verifying his own election. He should recuse himself. It's absolutely criminal that he's running that election. And we can't verify anything in Georgia. It's preposterous. And on top of that, as reported, in 3-4 different ways in Georgia, he has purged voters. He's purged over 1 million voters. And of course, massively, disproportionately Democrats.
And black voters.
And black voters in specific. Brian Kemp is a well-documented liar. That is a fact. He said the Obama administration had done all these things about voting. He was proven to be a liar. He lied on purpose in that case. He's lying on purpose about his own race right now. If they steal that election,
I mean,
I would say there should be political hell to pay. But you know, Democrats, they'll probably just surrender immediately. I mean, come on, for God's sake, right?
If they surrender to this, then it sends a message that we do not have a real democratic system and that we will allow people to steal elections.
So now, look, Kobach in Kansas. Now apparently the vote flipping in Texas. And guess what? Look at this, another amazing coincidence. Texas is one of 5 states that in some counties, you can't verify the vote, there's no paper trail. And look at that, in a place where there's no paper trails, there's all these reports of votes being flipped right in front of people's eyes from Democrat to Republican. Oh golly gee, we can't verify that. And we've done stories before. Who runs and owns the voting companies? The companies that actually build the machines? Republican donors. This is insane. This is what they call a democracy. So Stacey Abrams tomorrow doesn't have to just win. She has to win almost by a massive margin to get past Kemp's cheating and for Kemp to acknowledge it. And if afterwards she says, hey, wait a minute, there were irregularities, I guarantee you what the press will do. The press will call it 50-50. Oh, well, there's no way we could know. And when you say, I know, that's a goddamn problem. There should be a paper trail. Well, there isn't. There isn't. Nothing we can do. Will you fix it for the next election? No, we will not. Why do you think the Republicans don't fix it? Who doesn't want to be able to verify elections? People who cheat. That's who doesn't want to verify elections. Progressives want every election verified. We don't care who wins. I want to know, do we live in a democracy or don't we? I want to vote for a progressive, but I don't want to cheat and have a progressive win when they didn't win, because I actually believe in our form of government. You think Kobach does in Kansas? The guy did a commission where he was going to find 3 to 5 million illegal voters, voter fraud that Anna referred to. They shut down the commission in shame and embarrassment because it was a lie from day one. When they asked Kobach, don't you have any evidence? He said, well, there's been 1,000 convictions of voter fraud. Yes, since when? Since 1948. You know what that means? That's a voter fraud rate of 0.00000025. On the other hand, they purge millions of voters, so they destroy democracy. On the other hand, they have unverifiable machines that do not produce a paper trail. And then they talk about like they care about voter fraud. No, you are the voter fraud. And that's exactly what Brian Kemp is and Chris Kobach is and Ted Cruz is. I don't know how in the world they can verify, but if these guys cheated, they should definitely go to prison. They should go to prison if we catch them cheating in any way, shape, or form. And expecting anything less is un-American. 2 easy ways to follow the Young Turks. One is hit the subscribe button down below, then you're a TYT subscriber. And second is ring the bell. And when you do that on YouTube, you're notified of our videos.